Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my interactive Space Engineers series where you tell me what to build and I build it. Now this week's suggestion has been requested multiple times by many people, and that is to make some form of long-range heavy bomber or a planetary bomber. Now we've already built the Stellar Cadence inertial bomber, but that's not in the same league as what these people wanted me to make. And that's fair enough because this thing was just a sort of afterthought of what we could do with the Stellar Cadence chassis, but this time round I have built a beefy leviathan of a bomber, and that is the Nemesis. So let's have a look around and see what it can do. In terms of design and appearance, the most striking thing about the Nemesis is this defensive cage that surrounds the whole ship. I knew the bomber would need some form of protection, but I wanted to avoid building the entire thing out of heavy armour blocks so as not to make it too heavy. Instead, I used a trick with a couple of rotors and managed to mount the small ship cage around the main hull. The shape of the ship was determined by the central bomb bay area with the unusually shaped cockpit and tail section stemming from it. The wings act as mounting points for additional engines to improve deceleration and acceleration, as well as a mounting point for a pair of very large torpedoes which I shall show you later. The cockpit has 3 seats, one for the pilot and 2 more for the gunners to control the auto turrets mounted on the top of the ship. Walking down this corridor takes you to the main body of the ship, which was inspired by the Retaliator bomber from Star Citizen. Like the Retaliator, windows on all sides of the bomb bay allow the crew to see the current payload, and there are also control stations provided here for the crew to control these bombs. Speaking of weapons, we now come to the main bomb bay, which houses 8 torpedoes constructed from small ship parts. These torpedoes are built out of blast door blocks for enhanced rigidity and are packed with warheads. They are controlled by the weapons technicians in the seats we've just seen, and despite being rather small they have a nasty sting. To deploy these torpedoes, simply open the bomb bay doors and lower a group of torpedoes on the torpedo rack. Each torpedo is numbered and has a corresponding control station. Once they're fully lowered, the weapons technician activates the antenna on them, disengages the merge block and switches the torpedo's thrusters on. Once he's done this, he can gently pull away from the main body of the ship and then use the camera at the front to aim it at the target. With one well-placed shot, the technician could take out all the people on the bridge of the red ship from afar. The torpedoes have a range of 5 km owing to the limitations of small antennas, but they shouldn't be underestimated thanks to their precision and speed. The mechanism for deploying the torpedoes is mostly automated with timer blocks programmed to deploy the warheads or retract them at the push of a button. When in transit, the warheads are locked in position with landing gears for added safety, and thanks to a series of interlocks can only be deployed when the bomb bay beneath it is open. Given the temperamental nature of pistons, it is recommended that the Nemesis is stationary while the small torpedoes are being launched to prevent accidental collision and a potential explosion. If you require a bit more firepower, you could always opt to use one of the wing-mounted torpedoes, which are constructed similarly to the slugs used on the heavy battlecruiser. To deploy these, the pilot activates their engines, which can be toggled on the hotbar, switches to the remote control unit built into the torpedo, which allows the centre of focus on it, and then activates the camera to precisely align it to the target. Once an adequate velocity has been reached, the pilot can disable the merge block connecting the torpedo to the main body and allow the weapon to cruise into the enemy while the Nemesis pulls away. As it's similar to the battlecruiser's gravity slugs, it has the potential to cripple an entire space station or capital ship with a single shot. Given the destructive nature of the Nemesis and the danger it could pose if captured by an enemy, I've put a few special features in designed to prevent it falling into the wrong hands. For starters, the entrance doors are tucked underneath the wings, making them difficult to access, and these doors are also guarded by large Gatling guns mounted above them. Secondly, if they manage to board the ship, the interior doors can be closed and locked, making progress difficult for them. Lastly, if these measures fail, the Seppuku protocol can be invoked. Seppuku is a Japanese word and literally means stomach cutting. It's a process of ritual suicide originally reserved for samurai warriors so as to regain some honour in defeat. For the Nemesis, the Seppuku protocol involves the captain pushing 2 specific buttons in the cockpit when all hope of defeating boarding parties is lost. These buttons disable the ship's gravity and initiate a 10-second countdown which detonates the warheads in the belly of the ship, as well as wing-mounted torpedoes. The explosion would kill the crew and the invaders, but it would also deny the ship to the enemy, preserving any nearby structures belonging to your faction. Let me know what you thought of the Nemesis long-range bomber in the comments section below, and be sure to leave any suggestions on how to improve it there as well. If you want to give this ship a try, it's available to download on the Steam Workshop and the link is below. If you're enjoying the series, be sure to leave a like, favourite, comment and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next episode. Take it easy, have a good day, bye bye.